Hello lads and ladies, Brad the Guitologist here. Back in December, a neighbor and viewer of my channel named Joe messaged me and said he had spotted a rather large flat screen TV behind a dumpster near our neighborhood. He asked if I wanted him to snag it for me, and I said sure, and could he also get a video clip showing where it was.
Hey everybody, so this is a subscriber to Brad's channel, and Brad and I are neighbors. We live a few blocks apart. I'm at a local here in Louisville. Came around the back to park and noticed this flat screen TV right next to the dumpster here that's sitting there all alone. So I texted Brad and asked him if he wanted me to snag this for him. And it looks to be, that's a big one. That's probably, what, 72 inches or so? It looks like it's in decent shape. I have no idea. Obviously it doesn't work, but if there's one person that can bring this back to life and fix it, it's the guitologist, Mr. Brad. So I'm going to go ahead and snag this for him real quickly, put it in the back of my automobile there, my SUV, and hopefully Brad can bring this back to life.
So Joe dropped this TV off at my house, and to my astonishment, it worked. At least for a little while. And then it stopped. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to open this thing up. Oh, first I'll show you what the failure is, and then we'll open it up and see if we can't get this thing to work again and get ourselves a free dumpster television, like I've also done in the past a couple different times. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, stick around. Hey, how's it going, everybody? This television was found and brought to me recently by a friend of mine named Joe. He ran across this outside of a gym, and they had just basically set it out back by the dumpsters and just left it for somebody to get it. He brought it to me thinking, oh, Brad could probably fix this. And for the first few days that I had it, I actually plugged it in, and I found that my remote control that I already had with my other VIZIO television worked with it, and I was just thrilled to death because it just came right on and it worked fine. The person who, or the people who put it outside, had actually left themselves signed in to all sorts of things like their Amazon accounts and all that stuff on here. So I signed out of all that stuff and signed myself in. Of course, somebody probably could have taken some sort of advantage of that had they been a little more nefarious than me, but luckily I'm the one who ended up with it, so I didn't do any of that. Signed them out of everything, and it worked for a few days, but then it got this problem where when you try to turn it on, and I'll bring you a little closer so you can see what's going on with it. It looks like it's coming on right here, but it's actually not. It comes on for a second, the power does, and then the light just fades. Figure out again where the power button is, because oh, it's right back here. Okay, so I'm going to try to turn it on here. You can see the power button lights up, and then it just fades back out. So it's acting like it now. It's trying to come on, but it will not. I would probably never have bought a TV this large. I just don't watch enough TV, honestly, to justify it. But here it is, and you usually get your measurements by going diagonally, and this thing is it's about 55-inch. TV. So this thing is, like I said, by my standards, it's pretty gargantuan. Stick around, let's open this thing up. Oh yeah, you can actually still see some bird poo right there where it was outside. Yeah, this is a 55-inch. So the model number on this is an E550i-B2E. Just due to the symptoms, I'm already thinking that this is probably a capacitor issue. I've seen similar TVs, I think even VIZIOs, with this same exact sort of problem. And it almost always turns out to be a capacitor issue when it's in the power supply. There's usually like an over voltage circuit, so if it finds an overvolted or undervolted state, it won't allow you to turn the thing on. It just won't come on at all. And that's what we're seeing here. And the fact that it has already come on for me and stayed on for days. I mean, it worked for, I don't know, it probably worked for about a couple weeks and then went to doing this. So my guess is it worked intermittently for the other people too, and they just decided, hell with it, we'll just finally get rid of it, which I guess I'm glad they did, because now I benefit. There's definitely a benefit to being able to research and fix some things, man. Your soldering iron will pay for itself many, many, many times over if you use it. Especially in this day and age when everything is made to break. Buy yourself a good soldering iron, man, and if you see something, you know, like the last time I came across a TV, the one in my living room, I will put up a card up top up here somewhere where you can go check that out, but I brought it home. And the one that it replaced actually was also a fixed TV that I found in the garbage, and you can see it here too. Oh, okay, so that came up right there. Okay, well this slides out. That piece. Oh, there we go. All right, so with that piece out, it's pretty easy. And then, all right. Oh, there we go. So this one is easy to get into. So just this panel comes off and allows us access to pretty much everything we're going to need to get to. All right, like I said, power supply. We got power that comes in right here, comes to this board. Let's get you a little closer. So here we are inside this thing. We've got a couple things I recognize. We got a thermistor here. There's another thermistor over here. Big capacitor right here that I just checked, and it tests okay. I got another capacitor here with some leads that are exposed already for me that I tested, and it's okay. I don't see any reason to suspect these little caps over here at the moment. I may have to take this board out and look at the underside to get a little better hint of what might be going on. I think there's a power regulator under here. What I really need to do is see if I can find some documentation on this. See if there are some common faults that I can look out for that might save me a little bit of time. Okay, so I've taken this speaker off over here, trace the wires just to get a sense of where they were going from that switch. So there's the switch right there. You can see the pair of wires, the red and the brown. And just to get a sense of where it was running, I pulled this off of here. And you can see a lot of wires running to and fro over here, but it looks like to me they terminate right there on this board. So this board not only is doing a lot of stuff with like USB and all the input and output logic, but this also looks like it might have something to do with power, at least relaying power and sensing whether power is existing. And, you know, switching the unit on and off. That looks like where that's going. Now, don't quote me on that because I haven't traced every single wire coming out of here, but it looks like that's where they're going. I'm going to say that's probably where they're going. Oh, it was barely hanging on. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it looked like it was barely hanging on there. You know, I don't think it's anything on this board necessarily, but I guess it could be something going on over here. There's a test point right there. It'd be nice to have some kind of schematic or diagram how this thing was hooked up so I could just put probes on it, those test points. You see there's one 93, 95, and just pull voltages off of those points, and that would probably tell me a lot. But over here to the power board, if we look over here on this thing, okay, you could see it's divided for us into primary and secondary. You see this white line that's running all the way around the board here. This is actually encasing the stuff that is all primary wall voltages. So this would be all like dealing with the 120 stuff. Here's a transformer along this boundary. You can see it turns into secondary. So here's primary on this side and on secondary on this side of this white delineation. Here's a transformer right here that straddles across. I've tested this side of the transformer. It's continuous. There are two windings on this side that are both continuous. This one and this one are both continuous. And there's another transformer over here that straddles this boundary as well. We've got what looks like maybe another little regulator or something right there that straddles that line also. And a couple other places I think there's some things, yeah, some things straddling the line. Some caps and things like that here and there. But pretty much everything within this boundary is all primary stuff. But the cool thing about that is at least over here we have some markings of what we should expect to see. We should see 5 volts here. So it's at least giving us some things there that we can test. Also over here we've got some higher voltages that we can test for. We've got 20 volts and ground that we should see right there. So let's see if we're getting our voltages here and here at these points. And then we'll trace these wires over and see where they're going and see if we're also getting the voltages at those points. And maybe there's some test points also we can look at on this board. I think our fault, it's looking like to me our fault might be over here on this board. I did test these two larger capacitors that I could reach. I also tested all of the diodes on this board already. And diodes and the two big capacitors test fine. I do want to test those voltages, and we'll probably kind of go from there then. Let's check some voltages. We've got 12 volts AC right there on that cap. We got 52 volts right there. I'm seeing like 3.3 volts and then it drops away. So it's like the voltage is there, but then it's not staying. I'm not able to continue to read it. Okay, I saw 27 right there. So 27 volts pops up at first when I put my probe on that. And then that 27 volts rapidly goes away as it's being measured. Which is, I don't know. I don't know what's up with that. I think I want to just go ahead and pull this board, this power board, and just see what's going on here. Maybe the act of just decoupling this stuff. Decoupling, there's a coupling over here too, which is odd. So we've got two boards right here that are put together in this fashion as just a weird kind of coupling on that. So I'm gonna, yeah, let's go ahead and just, let's go ahead and take this board out. And we'll inspect the bottom of it too, see if there are any more parts on the bottom. Maybe some bad solder joints if we're lucky, and just kind of take it from there. Okay, I'm going to have to negotiate. Okay, oh, that's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. I see a couple of maybe questionable solder joints on some of the bigger solders, but I don't think it's that. I mean, it doesn't look bad enough to stop the unit from working, so I don't think it's any of that stuff. It's definitely not a solder joint, not from what I'm seeing here. You know, this is where all the smaller SMD components are on the bottom of this board. I don't see anything obviously burned. I mean, I suppose it could be a bad ground or something like that. I'll tell you what, let's hook the board back up and just test that. Let's see if just by removing it and then hooking it back up, if it kind of fixes itself. Because again, it's an intermittent problem because it did work. Okay, I'll put in the four corners because those are the ones that are labeled as ground for this. Let's plug it back in and just see what it does now. It's out of curiosity. I tell you what, and before we do that, let's also go ahead and screw this one down a little better. There's a ground connection over here on this board where the switch enters in. This ground connection right here is the one that runs over to here, so tighten that down too. Just to make sure we're getting good connection between both boards, I'll go ahead and tighten this ground. Let's hook the power back up again. No such luck. Oh wait, it's on. It is on. The TV's on. So it must have been a ground issue. Either that or it was a connection issue right there, like I said it might be. I bet you it was a ground issue. These, man, I tell you what, sometimes these TVs, they're just, the thing is, they're so simple. Look, there's one board under this, so there's 4 boards. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 little boards. And then you've got some speakers. You've got some boards down here that do light up the screen. So you have that, but there's not a whole lot to one of these in terms of the various parts. So that was actually really way easier than I had thought. So this isn't going to be much of a video, but the point of the video really comes down to this. It comes down to, you know, the waste that we generate. It was a simple fix, and good on them for just setting it out beside the dumpster rather than smashing it and throwing it in the damn dumpster. I bet this problem happens a lot when people move. I really do. I bet when people have a TV like this and they move houses or apartments, maybe it was in the back of a truck for a long drive or something through different climates. By the time it arrives and they get it up on the wall or get it set up, you're in a completely different climate maybe, and the grounding is just way off by then.
And just anybody interested in great vintage amps, you better pull up a chair and see what you think of this one, okay? Because I'm telling you, this is really special. It belongs to a friend of mine who's had it for 30 years. I've been trying to get him to bring it over, and he finally did. It was like trying to get him to leave his daughter to be babysat by the Hell's Angels.